That's right. It's another late night, and time for another reach into the Just Giggle It grab bag. And tonight we're pulling out. Tiki,
Yeah, what is it?
did you hear something coming from the grab bag?
From the grab bag? No, what are you talking about?
No, shh. Listen.
Oh, Danny boy.
The pipes.
The pipes?
They're calling. Do you realize what this means?
No.
It means it's time to pay the piper. Her due!
Her due!
Oh, don't just stand there. Open the bag and get her situated while I set the stage for the folks at home. Folks, you know how sometimes in life you come across someone who's a little too perfect, a little too much going right there. You look at them, a little too much going right there. A little too funny, too pretty, too talented. Well, talented, that's for sure. I mean, she can act, she can sing, she can direct. She can certainly give Joshua Thomas a run for his money in the many hats department. That woman's a chameleon. The woman's a chameleon. She's played. Let's go over the list here. She's played robots. She's played children. She's played LA actresses. She's played vampires. She's played in-laws. She's played Emily Blunt. You name it.
She's played Coral.
Frankly, it's borderline mythical. Someone can be this good at what they do. She's like Kristen Wiig meets Terry Garr, a winning combination, but rare all the same. Ladies and gentlemen, please join us as we welcome our illustrious guest. We're honored to sit down with tonight the multi-talented co-founder of sketch comedy sensation that is Just Giggle It, the lovely, the lauded Piper Hinson.
Woo! It's me.
Woo!
Yeah. Wow. Boy, do I feel warm and fuzzy now. My goodness.
That's the sound of two hands clapping, Piper. Two hands.
Yay! That's more than just my own, so that's good.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So, happy to have you on board, Piper.
Thank you. I'm very happy to be talking to you guys.
It is so nice to have you here. I just want to say that right now because I am feeling all warm and fuzzy. Like, oh god, we have Piper Hinson here. Just the world, something right is going on right now.
Good. Yeah, today we need
good
that.
Good start to 2020.
Yes.
Yeah, good. Yes. I know. I'm very flattered. I'm very happy to be talking with you guys because I know you guys have covered it all. So I'm happy to finally chit chat with you guys.
We've got 9 sketches left, Dragon, in the grab bag.
9 left and counting whatever they come out with next, which I have a feeling the next one's going to be particularly funny. But we'll have to wait and see on that one.
Once I get it finish editing it, it's going to be great. But
but Piper, as fate would have it, you actually got some news just today regarding one of your most recent projects. Would you like to share said news?
I would love to share it. So, Robostitute just got into another film festival. So in March, we're going to be at the Los Angeles Short Film Festival, which I think it's March 14th and 15th. But I'm so excited to have to be at another film festival. And this one's a pretty good one I'm excited about. So, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, so everyone should come and see it or watch it online if you haven't seen it.
And of course, folks, that's Piper Hinson's latest both directorial, co-directorial, and starring effort from Just Giggle It. But Piper, as Dragon has said, you've worn many hats throughout your time at Just Giggle It, as well as just kind of like through your life and through your career. But let's start in the present before working your way back to the past. Let's start with you know what? Just to keep things conversational right now, Piper, I'm just gonna, because you're in the entertainment industry, you're kind of like in the LA area. I'm sure it's on the talk of people's mind. What do you think of the Oscar race this year?
Well, of course, I'm sad there are not any women in the director category because there are great directors. I will say, though, this was a good year in my personal opinion. I think 1917 is one of the best movies ever made. So very, very excited about that being in the mix. And I loved Joker, of course. But yeah, I am excited. I haven't seen all of them, but I've seen, I'd say, like half the movies that are nominated. So yeah, it's funny though, because I do a lot of comedy, and at the Oscars, it's always like the more you cry, the more nominations you get, almost like.
Well, in Joker's case, the more you laugh and cry at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Like I mean, the story, it's so sad. It's like you see this like unraveling of a guy, and it's like that's why he becomes a Joker, because he has a very sad life. And you know, I haven't seen it yet, but I hear really sad, bummed out things about Marriage Story.
Oh yeah, that's probably the most depressing of all the Best Picture nominees, I would say.
Riveting though, it's quite riveting.
Yeah. Well, and then even my favorite movie, which is 1917, it's like people die in that one, and it's like super sad at points, and it's like, okay. I mean, here's the thing: I get it, because it's like there's the Oscars really focus on dramatic film, but it is a little like a cry competition, I think, sometimes, of like who can like make you sadder or something. I don't know. It's interesting, because it's funny how much weight is put on these movies, and they're all very talented, and they're all always well done, of course, but there's never a comedy that's like up for Best Picture, really, you know?
Yeah.
You know?
That is an excellent point. I gotta say.
Yeah, like there are amazing comedic actors, and they very rarely get nominated for. I mean, like I think Steve Carell got a nomination when he did a drama, but he's of course like one of the greatest comedic actors, and it took him doing like this super dramatic role to get an Oscar nom. But he was still worthy of it before that. But that I think is funny. I wish there was sort of an equivalent award show for comedy, like, you know, like you can get nominated for comedies at the Golden Globes and the Emmys, and you know, includes TV, but the Oscars are very, very drama heavy. So I'd like to see that change, and then more ladies included as well.
So speaking of the ladies, Piper, I gotta ask, what have you seen Little Women?
Well, I haven't seen that yet, because so we got a screener for it, and then my mom wanted to see it, so I mailed it to my mom first and get it back to me. So, because she was like, "I need a movie for New Year's Eve." I was like, "Okay, that's fine. It's a good choice."
So, Piper, I will say that Little Women is easily the most uplifting movie of the nominees.
Oh, well, that's good. Then I should watch it.
And I absolutely agree that like Greta Gerwig, especially, I think really should have been nominated for Best Director. After seeing it, I don't know. Anyways.
Yeah, I think it's like the reason. I mean, there's a lot of people who like the Oscar, the Academy is who nominates the people, and if it's more heavily male, like sometimes it's just like sometimes you just don't even think about it really, and you just click on names that are men. I don't know. I think there's a weird trend that it keeps happening until there's like this big backlash. Like a couple years ago, we had the Oscar So White backlash, and like finally they were like, oh right, there are not non-white people that are also great. Let's look at them too, you know? So sometimes I think it's just making something like noticing something, and then the change can happen after people bring it up and sort of poke fun at it, or just call it out, kind of, you know? So yeah, so hopefully next year there's a couple ladies in the mix, because we are all so good, you know?
Okay, here's a random question. How do you get screeners?
So I'm in SAG-AFTRA, and because I'm part of that union, for the SAG Awards, they send us movies so that we can see them before we have to vote for them. So not everybody votes, of course, but the idea is that they want to make it as easy as possible for the members to be able to vote. And then my husband is in a union as well. He's a sound mixer, sound editor, and so he gets them too. So sometimes we get two of the same movie, which is like such a little LA problem of like, oh my God, we have what are we gonna
Two
do?
of the same movie that no one else can get their hands on.
Yeah, oh, this movie.
Piper, can I ask you? Did you get a screener for 1917?
I did.
Okay, because 1917 was a movie that I had to go 60 miles into the city to go see on Christmas Day.
Oh
So,
my gosh. Well, I do think that it should. We watched it on the screener, but I'm gonna go see it in the theater because
you need to see it in the theater for sure.
it's one of those. Yeah, it's one of those movies where it doesn't. I mean, it was great watching it at home, but I think it is meant to be seen on a big screen in a huge theater with like the 5.1 sound system, whatever Dolby they've got going these days. All that fancy jazz. It's yeah. Because I remember like when we first started watching it, and I think I noticed because I make stuff and I'm a filmmaker, and so we were watching and I was like, this is still one take. Wow, they haven't cut. They just keep going. And that was the thing that impressed me so much from the start. And of course, like they do have cuts in it, but it's meant to look like it's one take. And I thought they did, such a great job. It was just amazing to watch.
Gotta love the almighty oneer.
Yeah, it's hard. Well, we tried to do something like that with the World Marriage Fighting Championship.
Yeah, I saw some of that when I was rewatching that one.
Yeah, so the original intent was to try to do a one take of that. Obviously, we didn't do that, but because it turns out it's harder than you think to do that. Who knew? But we did do long takes. So the idea was looked like we were just like in the room watching. A camera was just catching all this as it happened live. But we did do takes. But yeah.
One more Oscar-y question, if I may.
Sure.
So speaking of the Oscars, I recall, didn't you walk the red carpet once?
Yes, I did.
What year of the Oscars was that anyway?
I think that was probably 2010 or so. And the reason I was there, I was there several hours before all the real fun happened, but I was modeling shoes for a little like shoe segment. They do all these like wardrobe. What will people wear?
Oh yeah, I'm very familiar with those because
what are you wearing? That whole
all those like what are you wearing? Like so.
Oh man, you're bringing me back.
Yeah, I mean it was stupid, but like I got to be on the red carpet at the Oscars, and I haven't been back yet. So it was cool to get like I got a little credential that said Oscar, my photo, which I had in a frame up until like a couple years ago because it was just like pretty cool. And yeah, I mean like they basically they let us on for our little segment and then they ushered us quickly off. But it is a cool thing, and it's the same place, like it's on Hollywood Boulevard, and I've driven down that and walked around there
for
days. But when it's Oscar time, it does have this different feeling because there's all this security and it's all fancy and everyone's dressed up. But technically, they're all just walking on the street. Like the red carpet's just on top of road. So it's kind of like you think of it and you're like, oh, it must be somewhere, like safer. But no, it's literally they block off the street. They put a red carpet on it, and then people walk with like really fancy clothes and diamonds on it, and that's it.
God.
Yeah.
It's not all glitz and glamour after all.
No, it's like there's like the homeless man's pee beneath them,
Yeah.
Before they put the carpet down, and then it's like, okay, well, he'll be back once the red carpet's off. So yeah, but it's cool. It is a fun thing. I hope someday to get to go back for something I've been a part of. That'd be really fun. I think I'm years away from that, but you never know. Things can happen fast. So
yeah. Piper Hinson 10 years later, man. That'd be awesome.
Right? Check back with me and we'll do a podcast.
So speaking of years and such, let's wind the clocks back, as it were. Let's go back to the Des Moines days, as it were. Of course, the question we love to ask all the JGI players when we have them in studio, let's call it. Mm-hmm. What was your Chaplin finding the hat moment? In other words, when did the girl from Iowa know she wanted to be an actress?
Well, I knew I wanted to be an actress pretty early on in my life. I didn't know. I should say I knew I wanted to be an entertainer very early. I didn't know exactly how I wanted to be an entertainer, but I started playing violin when I was like 5 years old. I started piano and singing, and I did a lot of plays at our local called the Des Moines Playhouse. It's the hot spot to do plays, I guess. So I was on stage performing very, very young in my life, and I loved it. And I kind of always did it. I always found some way to be on stage, whether that's a violin performance or if it was doing a play or whatever it was. And then I would say it really started like becoming I could do this, but I'd have to go somewhere else to do this kind of a thing. When I was about 13, there was a modeling scout who came, and I entered this competition because you could win a trip to New York. So I was like, ooh, I could go to New York to be an actress. And I didn't win, but I got first runner-up, and that sort of started my modeling career, which helped get me to all the bigger cities easier because then I had a job to go there. So for me, it was like, okay, I knew I wanted to do this, but I live in Des Moines, Iowa. There's not really opportunity here for it. So I love I love being from Iowa. It's a really great place, but it just isn't, there's no entertainment industry there at all. I mean, it just doesn't exist. So I knew for college, I would have to go to either New York or LA. And then I ended up going to LA and I went to USC, and I was able to sort of start slowly my career then, because I hadn't done any films or commercials or anything like that when I was in Iowa, just because again, there's just not a whole lot there. But yeah, I pretty much started my acting career, I would say, when I was an 18-year-old going to college, trying to figure it out that way. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, but you said you did modeling before then, and I'm curious because, of course, with comedy is very physical. So, did the physicality of your early modeling career kind of help get you sort of prepped for the physicality of performance?
I don't know. I mean, I think the one thing that being a model helped me with was my confidence, because I was always really funny with my best friends, but I wasn't very outgoing for most of my early life. Like I was always like quiet and pretty. I always tried to be like smart, professional in front of people, and I had this like weird. I wanted to be the perfect person, perfect, do everything right. And then I would say like modeling helped me be more comfortable with what I looked like and who I was and all that. And then improv is what really helped me become, I would say, a good actor and comfortable with all the physicality, because improv, the great thing about it is it just lets you know that whatever you do kind of doesn't matter, because in the next scene, everyone's going to forget about what you just did. You can kind of do whatever and keep going, like it's, so I always got to experiment more and try new things and fall on my face and have bad improv shows and, say something that wasn't funny and then be like, well, okay, moving on. And like do things that I had never done. Like I've done improv shows where like I'm crawling around on the floor, or I'm like lifting people up. And that is not something that the Piper in high school would have felt comfortable doing. But Piper college and beyond felt more comfortable with it because I became more I think it's all about like comfort and comfortable with yourself. Like I became more comfortable with who I am and like what I'm capable of, I think, more than anything. I think most people, like I've learned this too over the years, like most people, if you talk to them, they're going to talk back. There's not a lot of people who are super closed off and don't want to have a connection or communication. And the same thing goes with like physicality. Like usually people are like, aren't going to be weirded out if like you do something crazy. Like that's what they think is funny usually. So for comedy, it was like standing still wasn't as funny as like, being big and I'm not thinking of a perfect example right now, but I would say all of my comedy chops started from improv. Yeah, I would say when I was in my 20s, which is not that long ago for me. Not that long ago at all. Yeah.
So, I just want to cite this real quick. With your physical performance, though, I mean, I keep thinking, I always go back to, A Quiet Place parody, where you just, in that single expression, again, because he popped up in the comments, too, Alex Poncio, the great Alex Poncio. Poncio!
Yeah.
He, of course, when he was going for the beans in such a ridiculous situation here, was kind of, one could say committing Harry Carey via beans, but in reality, per A Quiet Place, he's basically he's the kid who doesn't know any better in that moment. Just when Joshua Thomas is running, when he's going full Krasinski, let's call it, when he's going full Krasinski, and you sink. I could imagine it's like you're sinking to your knees with just like the jaw dropping expressions covering your mouth. It's flawless, man. It just communicates all the drama of the scene and bounces the whole thing. It makes it sing is what I'm trying to say.
Thank you. Well, that I just copied exactly what Elizabeth Blunt did, because our goal with that, and I really like that sketch because Alex, Josh, myself, and I think maybe one or two other friends went to see A Quiet Place, I want to say on a Saturday night, and then we decided to make that sketch a few days later. And so from start to finish, we saw the original movie, made and edited the sketch, and put it out, I think, within a week. And that's what I think was really cool, because we got it pretty shot by shot, which was just cool. We hadn't done it that fast ever, and we hadn't done such a shot by shot parody. So when everything with Alex, his reaction and his swinging, sort of flying hand around, that was exactly what the little boy did playing. So we just tried to completely copy that scene from the movie, and I think that's what makes it really funny, is that we all did exactly what the original actor did. So that was one of my faves, actually. I also love horror movies and scary movies, so do that one.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. So let's go from La La Land to Ha Ha Land here. Let's talk about the so to speak. Let's talk about the big move to LA. Let's kind of get into that side of things here. Do you subscribe to a particular acting method, or in other words, who are your influences, man? Where do you get all that talent from? Where does it stem from? Who are you trying to measure up to?
Well, I guess Sandra Bullock has always been a big sort of idol of mine. I think she's done a great job. I think she's amazing at comedy, amazing at drama. She always plays things very authentically and real. And I think she's always been one of my heroes. And then I got to see Melissa McCarthy back when she was at the Groundlings, because I studied at the Groundlings first when I moved out here. And so she's always been someone I really admire. And I mean, she's amazing. She's one of the funniest people on earth. And she's so great. She's so fresh and always just you can always make me laugh. But I guess for me, I don't have I was never trained in a dramatic way of a Meisner or a Stanislavski. I never got trained in those ways. I've always done the scene study class and then improv. So I have always found that I succeed once I take an improv class more than when I take a dramatic acting class of some sort. And I think the main reason for me is what improv teaches me is that you should commit to something, have a thought behind what you're going to do. So when you're working on a scene, you have to figure out what you think that this character, their life is, and all the backstory, all the reasons that they would be making these choices. But then, as an actor, you have to be able to throw that all away and listen to what a director says and be able to change and not be so stuck on what you prepared. Because a lot of times And I would say most times I'm working with someone, I have my own ideas, and then I get on set or I get into a rehearsal, and the director has a completely different idea of what they are hoping to happen, and like how they want the scene to go down, or the whole short film to go down. So I try every time to always have my idea, have it like, what I think is right, and then also be able to throw it completely away and just take someone else's idea completely fresh. So for me, improv is the only thing that teaches that. It's like, especially long form, it teaches you, take a choice, make it, and commit to it. But then when there's new information added, take that too, and like add to that. And then when the scene's done, throw it all away. Yeah. I mean, I'm also like, I've taken improv for almost 10 years. So I'm kind of like that's what really worked for me. And that's what I always tell people to do. Like I always tell people to take an improv class over anything else. Cause I think if you want to be an actor, it's beneficial. If you want to be just a chatty human being who can talk to people, it's very beneficial. It just gets you out of your head. It helps you remember that whatever you say, who cares if it's stupid? Like, it might not be to most people. It might be to you, might not be, and I think that you can get in your head a lot as an actor. And I know a lot of dramatic actors that are, in my opinion, too in their head, but everyone's got their own thing. And I just do what works for me, I guess.
Yeah. Great. Cool,
yeah.
Cool. So we got Claude Coringa. Well, first of all, we have Alex Poncio kind of like sneaking around the comments here.
Alex.
Sneaking into the chat. Nice to see you, Poncio. Nice to see you. And also, Claude Coringa, one of our regular commenters, has a question for you, Piper. Would you consider doing voiceover roles?
Hey, I would consider doing almost any job if someone would ask me.
Right.
Yeah. Who's got a voiceover job? What is it? I'll do it.
Okay. So early in your career, Piper, I understand that you were involved in maybe a couple high-profile things that Dragon might want to set up.
Okay.
Yeah, so many people may not be aware of this, but Piper Hinson, folks, has been directed by two of the greatest directors of our times. She's been directed by Christopher Nolan and Clint Eastwood. Would you care to elaborate on that, Piper?
Well, I can definitely elaborate on the Clint Eastwood one because I had a personal interaction with him. So I was just hired as a background actor on that. It was for Jersey Boys. But it was, when I first moved out here, and I think any actor should do this as well, is you should always try to do some background work on big movies. You can see how they work, because it is a thing. It's something to adjust to, of like, every person has a job and you kind of need to like stay in your lane, because it's not just like on a JustGiggleIt set, there's a lot of freedom to, like, if you're the sound guy, put in your input, and then it's like, yeah, you're funny, so cool, we'll take it. But on a big movie like Jersey Boys, you don't really get to do that. You kind of need to like do the job you're there to do and shut the F up. So I was there as a background actor, but I was paired with this girl who somehow she and her family knew Clint Eastwood. And so in between every take, he kept coming up to the two of us and just chit-chatting with us.
Oh my God. Wow.
Yeah, I'm sitting here like, oh my God, I'm a background actor on this movie, and Clint Eastwood is just coming over and hanging and chit-chatting with me and this girl. And I like luckily got paired with the one background actor who knew him.
Nice.
Yeah, the funniest part though is, so he does like to do long takes, and so we started rolling, and he was standing by us, and he had one of those handheld monitors in his hands, and so it was this big like a Hollywood party scene where the Jersey Boys were going to play a song, so there was a grand piano in the room. So all of a sudden, Clint Eastwood notices that the camera is coming towards him. So he like kind of like figures, I don't know. And so he literally lays down on the ground and hides under the grand piano for this entire take. So I'm sitting here and I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, we're filming, and Clint Eastwood, world famous director of a million amazing movies, is laying on the ground, hiding in the shot. It's like he's just hiding under the piano as they play and do this whole scene. And it was like take, and he's just sitting there looking at the monitor under the piano. And that was probably like the most insane moment, I think, of my background career.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was just like, okay, so that was more than I thought was going to happen today. Okay.
Right.
Yeah. And it was also cool. The actors, they sang live. I don't think they used it in the actual movie, but all those guys were actually good singers. So it was
nice.
That was a little mini performance. Yeah. And then the other instance, so I didn't have any personal interaction with Christopher Nolan, but what I can say is that I was in a dream sequence, and I was supposed to have like a hello with one of the lead actors, but of course got cut in the final chopping block. But we only did 6 takes of this entire scene, and it was like it just goes to show how good Christopher Nolan and all of like Ken Watanabe, Leonardo DiCaprio, and like all the actors in that movie, they're so good that they got it perfect, where it was like they had this small scene in a dining room, and then, dialogue, and then they open this door, and there's like 200 extras in this big party, and they just had to do the whole thing 6 times, and that was it. So that was all we were hired for, and then it was done, and it was just, it was the shortest I've ever been on set, and it was another cool thing where it was like, wow, he is really good, because he doesn't have to keep doing it, and these actors don't need to take after take of like, oh, I screwed up my line or whatever. They're just like so professional, just got in, got out, did their job really well. So that was cool. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, the old background life. I haven't done it in a long time, but it was kind of fun though. It was like, not something you want to do forever probably, but it's definitely something I think everybody should try. It's
the Where's Waldo years.
Yeah, it's like, it shows you a lot. It shows you the ins and out of a big production, and it also it shows you how much money it costs and how much money it can cost when things go wrong. And for us, like on a smaller scale, like we know, when Just Giggle It started, we would try to shoot 3 sketches in a day, and it's a lot of work, but that'd be like a full 12-hour day, and we would just keep shooting the whole day. Because for us, we don't have tons of money, so it was like we got to get our bang for our buck when we have a full crew. And yeah, it was just, I think Josh did background, Alex has done background. We all have been able to see big productions, what goes into it, and kind of like take a little bit of that, understand what that set's like, and then put it for our own stuff, which I think is why our sets are always pretty well run. So. Yeah.
That they are.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. So let me kind of combine a few things here. So how did you end up of all the improv joints in all the land? How did you end up at UCB, and for the folks in the layman's term, the Upright Citizens Brigade?
So I started there because I first started at Groundlings, and because Groundlings was what I heard of most, and I think I'd heard that people from SNL had come from the Groundlings, and so I was like, ooh, I'm going to take there. And then I took 2 classes at Groundlings, and then all I kept hearing was how it could to get on a wait list, and it's going to be like, I think like you take the first level, and then you take the second level, and then it could be like a year before you get into the 3rd level. So for me, I was like, well, I don't want to wait that long, and I also the 2nd level class, I at the time it was called intermediate level. I don't know what it's called now, but it was a lot of watching other people do stuff. So I kind of was at the point where I was like, I want to be doing more improv. Like I want to be up there doing stuff. I don't want to be staring at someone work through a character for 2 hours. I want to be actually doing something. So I started at UCB because I heard that was also a good improv studio, and then it was for me. It was like I got to work every day. I got to like do scenes with people who were at my level, and that was really fun too. Because improv at Groundlings and improv at UCB, they teach different types. So Groundlings is more focused on short form, at least when I was there, and they're more like a sketch based school. And then UCB is very focused on long form, where like you get a 1-word suggestion and then you can go and improvise for 30 minutes on it. And you're not playing like short little, 5-minute games here and there. So for me, I found that the long form style felt more challenging to me, which I really liked. And I loved like the 201 class they always say it's the hardest, and I fully agree that it is, because it's your first time you're figuring out what the long form framework is, where it's like, okay, here's A, here's B, here's C, and then it's like, how do you fill in all the gaps in between? And I loved how hard it was, because I sort of like being stumped, and I like to like figure things out, and I like to figure out how I can learn it and get around, I just like figuring things out. So for me,
you work good under a lot of pressure.
Yeah, I do. And I like being, I like having a question that I can't figure out immediately. Like I like to be challenged, and I always felt that long form is challenging, because if you've never done it, once you learn how to do it, it becomes easy. Not easy, but like, it's like with anything you learn, once you learn how to do it, then every time you do it, it gets a little easier, you become better at it. But I would compare it to like learning how to read, where like once you learn how to read, there are certain things that are still going to be challenging. Like, you won't know every word until you learn every word. But the first, like before you're just trying to figure out how to read, you're like, oh, I can't do it. It's impossible. And then you finally like something clicks, and then you get it. And it's like, ooh, this is cool. And with long form, it was like, it's like after the 201 level, like something clicks and you're like, oh, I understand what I have to do. I don't know if I can do it yet, but I understand what I have to do. Okay, cool. And then I just loved it so much. I loved the community there, because I felt like it was very easy it was really easy. Like obviously my 201 class has become a big part of my life. I met Josh in my 201 class. I met a lot of really fun and great people that started JustGiggleIt through that. And then beyond that, like some of my best friends I've met through improv, and Katie and I were on an improv team before we were besties. So
right, I can't help but I can't help but think of the actor's audition process when I ask you this. But what were your first impressions of Joshua Thomas?
So, well, he seemed very confident. And like the funny thing, we always say this, like
I'm from Texas. I got this.
Well, it was funny because at first I thought he was a little cocky, and I was like, "Who's this little turd?" He's like, but then as the class went on, I was like, "Oh, he's good. So, okay, he does know what he's doing. Cool." And we sat next to each other every day. We got along really well. So as much as I like a challenge, I know he likes a challenge too. And so I think he and I have like similar personalities in a lot of ways. Of like, I think we both wanted to be like the best in the class. Like we're the best of these 16 improvisers who like barely know.
Right.
But we still wanted to be the best of those who barely knew what they were doing. And so like we, in our final class show, we did a lot of scenes together and just really got on well, because we both seemed to like to succeed and like to, work at a high level. And yeah, personality wise, like we both made each other laugh too. That helped. And so I think it's funny because like I'm sure he had a funny opinion of me, because I've gotten this a lot. Like I know how most improvisers are not also models. Like it's not, there's a couple, there's this girl, Monica, she's been in the she's been an improviser for years. She's really, really funny and so good. And she was a model as well. But there's not a whole lot of girls who look like me who do improv. It's just like, that's just not a thing. And I think part of it is that, I don't know, it's like if you're a pretty girl, you don't need to be funny. So like life is going to be fine if you're not funny. But for me, I've always just I like funny. I like making people laugh and stuff. So I stuck it out, even though I got looks from people like, what are you doing here? Like, who's this girl? And it's like, hi, I'm Piper, and I'm gonna stay. Okay, cool.
Nice.
Yeah. So make room, save me a seat, because I'll be here. Okay, cool. But yeah, I mean, and Josh was good at he would go to shows all the time. I went to shows all the time. We were both kind of in it to learn how to do it well. So yeah. Yeah.
All right. So when Yuka made the famous tipsy, let's get together and make sketches pitch.
Yeah.
What made you say yes to that?
So when I met Josh and when I did improv, I had already been in LA for almost 10 years, 9 or 10 years, because I came out for college in 2003, and I had met so many people over the years who'd be like, let's make something. And it was talk, let's make something. Nothing ever happened. There's a lot of that talk. A lot of people want to, I have an idea, or I want to shoot this. It's like,
we'll network.
Go do it then. There's a whole lot of talk and not a whole lot of pulling the trigger. So for us, Josh and I both knew we wanted to make stuff. And then Yuka had equipment. So she was basically filling in one of the holes that we felt was always something to figure out. I had never I didn't go to film school, so I don't have the experience of knowing what camera to rent or what light I need or mics or anything like that. So the fact that Yuka knew was oh, cool. So she's helping us fill in this piece of the puzzle that we don't know that well. I suppose Josh knew, he sort of knew because he'd already done a bunch of filming in Texas, but I did not know any of it. So we looked at each other, and I remember we were at Bird's Cafe on Franklin, right by UCB, and we were both yes. And then maybe I had to have been just maybe a week or two after that class ended that we had our first read-through meeting of reading through sketches and figuring out what we could shoot. And at this point still, I'd not written anything really ever. I had ideas for things, but I didn't know how to write. So luckily Josh did. So the first two things we shot were scripts that Josh wrote. And I guess luckily he had already had some directing experience, editing, and writing from back in Texas. So that really helped us. And then I had a lot of organizational skills from doing a lot of group projects in college of being the ringleader of things. So I knew how to manage a bunch of personalities and sort of get everyone to show up, be on time, get things finished, all that. So the three of us worked really well together, and then we all three had different strengths that worked really well, and we needed all three of us. But then eventually it got to a point where, Yuka had other things she needed to do, and Josh and I still wanted to keep going. So we had a bunch of other people in the group who also wanted to keep making things. And then we just kind of, over the years, we both learned how to do other things. And we would have someone be in the group, and then they would leave because they needed to do other things in their life. And of course, that's how everyone is. So then it was okay, well, if we lose that personality, how do we fill that hole, So we just over the years had to kind of learn on our feet, keep figuring things out as we went. So
the ever-evolving phases of the JGI players.
Yeah. And I mean, and the funny thing too is I think when we first started, we had no idea what it would become and how long it would go for. I think almost everybody's first idea was, let's just make stuff so we have footage for our reels, and then maybe we can get an agent this way or something. And then the more we did it, and the more I guess content we had under our belt, it was oh, well, this could be something. So let's keep going with this. Let's keep making stuff. Everyone keeps getting better and all that. So it's sort of been our own college of like learning how to do all these different things of like, I didn't know how to write sketches or pilots or anything before we started. And now I'm doing all of it. And I didn't know how to direct before. And now I'm doing that. Didn't know how to edit. Now I'm doing that. So we've, it's been like such a great learning tool for all of us because, you can learn a lot from reading a book, but you can learn a lot more from just trying to do it yourself and figuring out how to do it. So
I mean, dare I say, it kind of has like a little bit of a Pixar campus kind of feel to it, with the people kind of like, encouraging each other. Like it's a really good work environment.
Yeah, I mean, and it's been great because we've had so many different types of people in the group through the years. So some things are funnier to me than they are to Josh, and funnier to him than they are to me, and there's a really good variety because we've had so many different perspectives, which I think is really awesome too. And like one of the things we just put out that Katie wrote was like, it's so funny to women because most women have been in this position of like thinking that they're pregnant when they're not. And, a guy's not going to find it as funny, and that's totally fine. But like to women, it's like, oh my God, we've all been there. But yeah, it's like, I like the fact that we have different perspectives that will not everyone's going to think everything is the funniest thing on our channel, but they'll find like maybe 3 things that they think are hilarious. And then a different person will find 3 different things that they think are hilarious. So
subjectivity.
Yeah, no one wants to be one note. I think that's stupid and boring. It's like, well, like I'm not a huge fan of channels that just keep putting out the same joke over and over. Because it's like, well, that's not very creative. I mean, I think like you should always try to expand, change, evolve, and stuff. And like, that involves making new jokes, Sometimes you make poop jokes and they're hilarious, and sometimes you have to make something else.
Yep.
Or fart jokes, I guess. That's what our Quiet Place one was.
I mean, you guys do have like kind of the jaws of fart jokes in A Quiet Place. I gotta be honest. We've always lauded that one for honestly, they made it work.
Yeah, we knew it. We were like, okay, this is a fart joke, but we don't really do many fart jokes, so let's just do it, okay?
Of course, you also have like the ultimate poop joke sketch too, with brother sister serious situation.
Oh right, yeah.
Oh my
conversation.
God.
Oh yeah.
All right.
I mean, that's just funny though. It's like, it's not clever humor by any means, but it is funny.
The execution.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, my dad always laughs at fart jokes. Like, he may not laugh at a lot of my stuff, but he will always laugh at a fart joke, no matter what. So.
All right. So speaking of sketches, and you directing, by the way, let's talk about that one here.
Okay,
so one of my favorite things, Piper Hinson, I've been waiting to get you on here for a long time because I am indebted to you for something you helped me with. You introduced me to The Americans and Mad Men.
Oh yeah.
In part, Mad Men. Basically, the Mad Men parody was kind of like the last straw. Like, you know what? Eventually, we're gonna do a grab bag on Mad Men, so I should probably know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Before we do it. And I binged it, and again, I was kind of like
one of the two of us did our homework in that regard.
Well, my husband just started it yesterday. I was like, "You got to watch the show," and he's finally just started it, and he thinks it's 2 episodes in, he's hooked.
Nice.
After it went off the air, but
Yeah, I did love Mad Men, and I also love your Mad Men parody because again, it was so on the money, having seen the show and just knowing
Yeah, they drink so much that I'm like, I'm sorry, I get it that people have different alcohol tolerances, but they would all be barfing drunk every day. They are drinking. Yeah, so I felt
you're absolutely true.
Yeah, to make a joke about it. Oh, and a fun fact, that in that sketch, I originally wrote the Peter character for Mark, but he wouldn't do it. So Josh was like, all right, I'll do it. Because, a dildo falls out of someone's butt, and which is funny, It's funny, but
But here's the thing, though, with Joshua Thomas. Let me ask this: so Joshua, had he seen Mad Men when he did that?
I don't know if he had. I don't think he had.
Because he is so much like Pete Campbell in that. That's what I'm saying. The casting and the performances is it's uncanny. And you as Megan, the whole thing. I was blown away by it.
Yeah. Well, and also, I mean, it's funny because I luckily at that point in the show, also Meg was a part of it because otherwise I would have had to pop on a wig to be January Jones. But yeah. But yeah, I love making parodies of shows that I love because, much like A Quiet Place, it's like, I love that movie. So it's like, yeah, let's make a funny thing about it. And I did like a Law and Order parody because I think I love that show as well. But I think when you do something that like, it's a compliment because like, I love this show so much, I'm going to make something dedicated to it. And like, Mad Men is a serious drama, but it is funny how much they drink. Like, it just is. It's funny how much they have sex with each other. It's funny how much they drink. Like chimneys, and it's just funny. Like, it may have been real life at the time, but it's still funny. So, yeah.
See, for me, my favorites, I loved Roger Sterling and Joan. Joan and Roger Sterling were my favorite parts. Don't get me wrong, Draper I love, but Draper had this thing. There's so much adultery in that show. It always kind of bugged me. It's like, seriously.
Yeah. Oh, I know. I was just like, because Milos had it on earlier today. Milos is my husband, and there was a scene where Don Draper was in bed with this other woman, one of the women who's not his wife, and then he goes and has dinner with his wife, and I was like, why is he still like married to her? This just doesn't make sense.
Now I got to admit, this leads me. I'm sorry. Go on.
No, I just like, but I think like that's the thing that was always annoying. It was like, dude, just like get divorced already. Like, come on. You
like really like playing the field, man.
Yeah, just like go it.
Speaking of the Betty Draper of it all, so of course there's a gag in the sketch where Don Draper has Betty Forever tattooed on his arm, and I gotta tell you, where did he come down that? Because I was curious. I never cared for Betty Draper. I really didn't, man. I preferred Megan a great deal more. That's what I'm saying. So I was pleasantly surprised. Okay, Megan's in this and not Betty Draper. But again, so is that tattoo? Are you in very much support of the January Jones character?
No, that was more just to like. I think people do fun things like that when they're really drunk, where it's like he's no longer married to his first wife, but maybe when he was drunk, he would still get a tattoo of her. Like I don't know if you guys watch The Marvelous Miss Maisel, but I
love it. You watch it too?
I do.
Awesome. I told Mark Sipka to watch it recently.
Oh, it's so good. And like, Matt Midge gets remarried to her ex-husband on accident. It's like,
I love it.
Drunk, Oops.
Spoilers.
Spoiler alert. Yeah, you guys need to get. It doesn't really. I mean,
no, Dragon's caught up.
Yeah, I'm fully. I keep telling him like, you gotta watch it, man.
Yeah, it's so funny. It's just like, it is one of those that like you have to watch from start to finish. You can't jump into the middle of it, but it is so good. It's really well done. It's hilarious.
Tony Shalhoub,
it's the actors are so great. So, it's just a really great show. And I watch. It's one of those that I love and hate that it's available all at once because I watch it so fast and I want more. And it's like, oh no, I have to wait a year. Oh,
yeah, no. I hear that. Plus, again, I don't want to get into it. He hasn't seen it yet, but again, like the ending, of course, is definitely. Oh, what happens next?
Yes, I know. Especially now, like there's so many cliffhangers. It's like, what's gonna happen? Yeah.
I mean, just real quick, because we can't turn this into a full-on Marvelous Mrs. Maisel thing, because again, I could geek out on. But I'm just saying, like, I think like Joel Maisel is always an impressive thing for me, because again, we could, but that's the thing with Joel.
We can just like forget all the Just Giggle It stuff. Let's just talk about Marvelous Miss Maisel forever.
But it's like Joel. When characters commit adultery like constantly, it's always the thing that bugs me. And they made Joel put in such an unlikable position at the start of that show, but I ended up loving him, especially by the third season. He won me over so much I never imagined I'd be won over to his side.
I know. I think because they sort of like humanize him and like let you see why he made decisions and then like see him regret those decisions and kind of I mean I think that's like what can make any character a lovable character. Like another show I just love and finished watching is You, and that's where like the main character is like a creepy kind like psychopath, but they show you why he does these decisions, and it's kind of like all in the name of love. And so you're like, well, I can't really hate him. He's creepy, but he's not a bad guy. But like he is a bad guy because he's, hurting people. But yeah, I mean, I think he's in the Marvelous Miss Maisel. He's sort of like the season 1 villain, and then he kind of evolves to something else, and he's like
one more Mad Men thing, because this does relate to the directing of it. Also, my favorite, the thing I'm always glowing about when I hear Piper Hinson's in the director, I keep thinking of one thing. I always think of that opening Mad Men, the opening shot of the Mad Men sketch where you have like basically have this like almost like dolly shot where he's gonna go over there, and we just like I love that. Like, what's sort of beyond that shot, man? He went full circle with it too. He kind of did.
Yeah, I mean, I think because I'm a newer director that I like to do like subtle little things that like make me happy. So like when I know every director is different, but for that I kind of wanted it to be like a bookend, like a full circle thing where it's like it dollies in from one side and then it dollies out the other way, so it sort of like finishes where it started. Because really at the end of the sketch nothing's changed. It's not like they're going to stop drinking and like fucking each other all of a sudden. So it's just sort of like a window into that little bit. But yeah, and I think like I've directed a couple other things that I wasn't in, and I always try to have something that is sort of like fresh and like different for your eye. Like I did one episode of someone else's web series, and I did a lot of focus on like below like their bottom half of their body, because I was like, I think there's a lot that can be like sort of shown with feet. So I showed the cleanup of this party with just the feet walking around picking things up, and the reveal of like you think they're naked, but you just see their feet in heels, and then it pans up and they're still fully clothed. Yeah, I like doing like little things that kind of are like, what's that? Yeah.
All right. So one of our favorite pairings that we've seen you in with another JGI crew member is the one, the only Mr. Jesse McBride.
Oh,
or Gold Horde, depending on your sketch, I guess.
Yeah, Jesse McBride is the newer. That's his more current stage name.
Good. I like McBride better personally, but it's just.
Yeah.
So what was it like to work with Danny McBride's younger brother? I'm just kidding.
Okay, no seriousness. Jesse McBride is such a talent. So what's it like working with him?
Yeah, he's great. I like working with him because he's. I like when people are prepared, and Jesse was always prepared whenever we would shoot something. Didn't have to do the like line, because. Especially because I'm the one who sometimes needs the line because I'm doing 10 million things and, I forget my lines on set. But Jesse was great at always like being on set, knowing what he was doing, knowing his lines, being a great performer and a great, like a good personality. Like a lot of times when you're, shooting for a lot of hours, you just want to have like good personalities around because a lot of downtime. There's a lot of like, figuring and troubleshooting, and he was always a team player and really great. Yeah. So
speaking of McBride, which what was your reaction to the twist at the end of buying an orange or like buying a car?
Oh, the twist. Okay, so I have to say when we first read that script, which Jason wrote, it was like I was dying at how funny it was because obviously it's
honestly one of my all-time favorite sketches.
Yeah, I mean,
great Jason Ramlo, by the way, for the folks.
Yeah, Jason Ramlo. So you don't expect it. So it's like so much build up, and then as we were reading it, I was like, well, this is kind of funny. Like it's kind of funny to compare buying an orange to buying a car and how difficult it would be if it was this way, and then it goes to it's a porno. It's like, oh my god! Yeah, we died, and I remember I just laughed for days about that because it was so funny and so like unexpected. And I love the fact that you have to watch like 7 or 8 minutes of this like whatever, like not it's like kind of funny but not that funny. And you have to watch like 7 to 8 minutes of that before you get the payoff. And to me, that just makes me laugh even more because then like I know as a viewer, because I was there when I was reading it, it's like reading it, thinking, okay, like what happened? Like where's the punch? Like where's it really funny? And then it's like when it hits you, it's like, oh my God. So yeah, I love that one.
Again, I remember I was looking so forward to that one on the grab. We saved it for when we had like a special occasion we'd be able to really kind of get into it because I was before watching I was just saving it up so I hadn't watched it until we were getting ready to do it for the grab bag. I love the thumbnail, basically the money shot as it will. That's probably a poor choice of words given the ending.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean. The big sell of it for me was like that when he sticks the orange in your mouth and you're like the eyes go wide. So it's just like it's a funny, I don't know, almost like a Looney Tunes shot or something about it just looked really funny. Like what is this about?
Yeah.
I know it could be like she's caught by surprise in the moment. Of course, you watch it. She's caught by surprise, then she's caught by surprise by another thing. Anyway.
Yeah.
Do you have any idea where the name Ken Armand came from?
We love Ken Armand so much.
Ken Armand is just like one of our favorite fictional character names now.
I don't know. I mean, I get like honestly, like there are sometimes I get names for characters because it's like a piece of mail that is like accidentally sent to me, and it's like, oh, that's a funny name.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I don't know if that's how Ken Armand came, but yeah.
I wonder if Ramlo watched The Birdcage and he was thinking of Armand Goldman. That's what I wonder.
I don't know.
Because when I heard Armand, that's kind of the name that jumps to mind. Like, oh, I hear Nathan Lane's like Armand.
Oh God!
It's also just such a like fancy sounding name for a guy.
It is. Yeah.
Sense. Well, we love it. McBride, he owns that role.
Yeah, if his name is Ken, that means his real name is Kenneth. It's like Kenneth Armand selling.
Love it.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so our Armand love side. What kind of character do you enjoy playing most, and what kind of character do you long to play? Like Leah Thompson, she was asked like, what kind of characters you want to play, and of course she was able to play all of them in the Back to the Future trilogy. Like, what do you got going on there?
So I would say like I love when I get to play a character like completely different from my personality. Like, so. Well, I heard that you guys were thinking of doing. Or wait, you guys have already done Pretty Flowers, right? Or no?
Oh, that was the first one we did, lady.
Yeah, Pretty Flowers was literally the first one we ever did.
Yeah. So I love that because I got to be gross in it, and like I kind of love when I get to be ugly and gross. I don't know why. I think because I've been a model for years, and like I'm constantly made to look pretty. But it's kind of fun to like be made to look really busted and ugly. So like I love playing ugly characters personally, but I don't know. I don't have like a type of character that I'm like longing to play. Like I played a vampire. I love playing vampires. I have played. I guess I
could see you in like an Elvira role.
Oh yeah. Well, that's funny. It's like I'm not good at playing a sexy role. Like I feel very uncomfortable in those roles. It's like totally me really acting because I don't feel like a part of me is that. I'm really putting it on. But yeah, I guess that's probably the most challenging role. It's like if I played an Elvira, and didn't laugh in the middle of it, that'd be a real accomplishment.
Right.
Yeah. I know. I think as an actor too, like I'm happy to play. There's certain things that are easier to play. Obviously, something that's close to my personality is easier to play. But I'm just like, please hire me to play anything. So
right, sure.
It will be the joy of my life. Cashier. Oh, what a joy. Yeah.
All right. So, what do you think is the backstory on Sandy Newman?
So Mark Zucker wrote that because he does a great Randy Newman impression. The Randy and Sandy Newman under the covers. And so then so the whole thing was he wanted to do Randy and Sandy, like a wife that sounded exactly like Randy. But unfortunately, my impression is awful. And so it sounds sort of like someone who's just, gotten hit in the head a few times. Yeah, my impression was pretty awful. I think that's why it's funny, because it's like, what the hell am I doing? I don't know.
It's one of our favorite sketches from pure headcanon point of view. Like, how exactly did these two end up together?
Yeah, we have like a fan theory, like we have differing fan theories about how they met. That's the thing.
Yeah, I don't know what Mark Sipka's backstory between them meeting was, but all I know is my end result of Sandy Newman was pretty awful. And especially like when Mark and I were recording all of the songs, I was like, I sounded like someone had like strangled a deer and like tried to put it to music. It was like, I don't know, I did my best, sorry. But I love how bad it is, so Sandy Newman forever.
I always imagined it was like like he went to Vegas or something, like a Randy Newman impersonator that was a lady. That's always that was my backstory with it. That's how they met.
I forget what my pet theory was. Wasn't it something about like they bonded over having speech impediments or something?
It was something like that. Yeah, I think.
Yeah, yep. Although, like, Mark's impression of Randy is so good that it's like, I just really like if you've seen what's that movie, Multiplicity, where basically you get photocopied and you keep having a worse and worse version of yourself. I am like third to sixth photocopy of Randy Newman. That's how bad my impression of him is. But,
I just love the pun of under the covers, by the way. It's like, yeah, they're doing cover songs.
Yeah.
Right. So okay, let's speak of this. Okay, let's drift drift away from Sandy Newman. Let's talk about Robostitute. So Robostitute, from what I understand, was an old idea. Even predates JGI for the most part. It's like,
well, it doesn't.
Now, how did it come about originally?
So back in the day, way before JGI, I had always joked with my mom that I would love to have a virtual boyfriend because, like, I want to be able to turn him off because guys always annoyed me when I was younger. Like guys would call me and be like, "Hey, what's up?" And I was like, "What? I'm busy. What do you want?" And can I please get off the phone? I have homework to do. So then, like through the years, like there's like more, there's robots, and then there's like sex dolls that people have. And so for me, like I just always thought it'd be funny if you had like I just think it's funny when people think they're like getting something and like skipping a step, and then they're really like sort of. No, you can't get anything. You're gonna get what you pay for. Like if you skip a step, you're gonna miss that step. So, but I'm also a huge fan of Black Mirror and showing how like technology can be good and it can also be very bad. So I told Josh about my idea. This was like 5 or 6 years ago at this point. Of like, what about like a robot prostitute who like a guy gets her, but then like she like basically tries to kill him and beats him up and stuff, and like throws him on the bed and like hurts him. And it's like turns out it's not as like enjoyable. And then he took that idea and made it what it is. And it's like I love the idea of this guy who thinks he's just gonna get laid. He's just gonna like he can't get a real person, and he won't pay for a hooker basically. So he thinks he's beating the system, and then slowly you find out that actually, nope, you don't get things for free. Things are too good to be true. And so, yeah, I love I love also that we waited as long as we did to do it, because now we're just way more capable now than we were when we first had this idea. And we have a couple of sketches like that that are that we've read and we think are hilarious, but we just are like, no, it's not the time to do it. We have one that I can just tell you is called the lawyer sketch. That basically, like I gotten dumped by a guy, and I was telling Josh about it, and he wrote this hilarious sketch. But we need to have a courtroom, and we need to have a jury, and a lot of extras and stuff. So we're kind of like, well, we'll do that eventually, but it's really funny. So
yeah, he and Tiki and I are huge lawyer fans because we adore Better Call Saul. So when you say lawyer sketch, you can understand our ears are perking up.
Oh
right
yeah,
now.
I mean, I hope yeah, I'm hoping the next year we could do it because it's so funny, and the character Josh plays is so funny. It just like it makes me laugh every time I think about it, and so hopefully we'll get to do it this year because I think we're good enough. I think we can finally pull it off this year. So
right.
That's
so
part of it too. It's like, you know, like we've had so many funny sketches through the years, but when we have a meeting and we read things through, like it's like, okay, well that's a police car chase. Can't afford to do that. Okay, this involves you know, like a castle. Can't do that. Okay. So a lot of stuff that we've written, like I guess like what you see on our channel is stuff that we have been capable and could afford to do because, you know, there's a budget for things, and we're getting better at learning how to sort of manipulate things and do things on a smaller budget. But still, it's like, you want to wait till like for Robosta 2, we wanted it to be good. We didn't want to just shoot it and make it and it would be like kind of okay. And so we waited, and you know, I think it's amazing. I think it's so funny. I'm really proud of it too, and I'm glad we waited to do it. So, yeah,
definitely blew the doors off the place, man. It was fantastic.
Yeah. I mean, and it's like that wouldn't have been the case had we done it 5 years ago. It would have been okay, but you know, we had all this sound design thanks to my husband, who happens to do that as a professional.
By the way, just a shout out, just a shout out to him. I mean, the sound design in that short is easily one of the big standout things about that short.
Yeah, I mean, it took it from being good to being great, where it just like, I mean, it was funny, but there's just something so funny about hearing my eyes blink and like every move and my head turn, and just, I mean, he did such a great job. It really brought it to life further than I could have imagined. So yeah, he's good at what he does.
So what influenced your robotic mannerism in the performance in that one?
He and I have like differing theories. Like he threw out a little bit of Ex Machina. I have a little bit of
I think it's very much an Ex Machina kind of performance.
Yeah, it is. I mean, because I've watched there's another show called Humans that I think it was like a Hulu show that is out, and it's about androids and people having them in their house. And the whole thing that I've always liked about the robot role is that they're so still, because they may look like a person, but the whole thing is they're very still and all their movements are still robotic. Like they may be smooth, like in Ex Machina, she's still smooth when she moves, but there's something that is not human about it. And
right.
So, yeah. But yeah, my whole thought was like, she has to still be, because he hired someone to have sex with, you know, so it has to be someone who can seem like she's flirty with it, but still be a robot, you know, and still and all that. And yeah, and at the end of the day, like she's a prototype with kinks, and so she's not going to be as smooth.
Kinks in more ways than one. Hey yo.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I was like, I mean, that's one thing, like the sound design really helped with like the clunkiness of when her feet, of hearing the mechanics inside her body moving like.
Yeah, she's got kind of like a Austin Powers fembot design.
Yeah, totally. So I think, yeah, I mean, and I just kind of, you know, I've never seen a sex doll, I kind of just like combined what I've seen of robots and tried to do that.
What about when the tag comes out? Was it a Jaime the Robot reference?
You mean the Skynet tag or the?
No. I mean, when she has like the little tab, like you pull the tab from the mouth, the little thing she spit out there.
No, I think that was just more like, you know, like when you have a new device and there's a battery that's included, but it won't turn on until you pull the tab out and like.
Gotcha.
Yeah, like let the battery work. It was more kind of that idea.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, yeah. Just like she's like literally just a machine and has batteries or has a plug and yeah.
All right. So speaking of the production side of things, you mentioned your husband. Little side question here, if you don't mind my asking. You didn't meet him on Robustitude because it was in the works for a while. You didn't meet him on.
Oh yeah. No. He and I met on Bumble, on a dating app. Yeah, and then we were just like, we basically knew within 2 weeks that we wanted to be together forever. Yeah,
that is so darn sweet.
It was crazy too because I dated so many people in my time and never had that immediate connection with just got along so perfectly so quickly and we got married 7 months after we met because.
Oh my God! Wow.
That's like Bob Sherman's wedding, man.
So fun fact: my parents also they got married 10 months after their first date.
Oh wow!
Yeah, which I didn't know until a couple of years ago. So
nothing but Cupid in your family, eh? Just.
My sister dated her husband for years. My brother dated his wife for years. I think you can do it how you want to do it, but we're both in our 30s and we were kind of like, why wait, let's just do it.
Yeah, sure.
And before the knees start to ping, man. Yeah.
Yeah, just before my body starts falling apart and you have to wheel me around in a wheelchair. Let's get married.
I'm turning 30 in 2020 myself, Piper. So I'm feeling that.
Winning the decade. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not excited about it.
It's fine. The water's fine. It's the same.
All right.
Yeah, life gets better, not worse, though.
Oh, that's good to hear.
Let's ask the big questions, man. What's JGI? You kind of spoke this a little bit here and there, but what's JGI like from a production and company standpoint as the co-founder, as kind of like the big half cheese, as it were?
I am the half cheese, huh? I'm not the full cheese. I'm the half cheese.
Well, I'm saying it's you and good old.
Yeah. Well, so
when the cheese wheel has the big slice taken out and it's like the Pac-Man.
Yeah. Yep.
That's you. So you're more than half. You're like 3.
Yeah.
Well, the other half is wonderful, though.
Yeah. No,
you're right.
Well, and our cheese wheel has been through many other helpers through the years too. Like now it's really Katie, Josh, Alex, and myself. But we've had other people who have been a big part of it through the years. But still, even when we first started up till now, Josh and I are always the ones who are emailing back and forth, call sheets. Do you have this crew confirmed? And where are we doing it? Do we have all the props we need? Do we have the set location? Yada, yada. So it sort of depends on if it's something that is more if I wrote it and I'm the one who's I want to do this, then I usually take the lead on it. Or for the Joker stuff, Josh and I he usually takes more of the lead on the production side because he's more knowing what he wants and what he needs and all that. And then I help fill in all the spots. When it comes to booking locations for shoots and stuff and crew, we kind of tag team with everything. So, but it really just depends on, it's if we both have time to do it, then we both do it. And if one of us has more time, then one of us takes over more. So it's good though, because it is a lot of work. It's really hard to do any of it alone. So you kind of just always need a second person. And Katie's been getting more into it too. She's always been very helpful. Basically when Josh and I are producing something, anytime we have an extra need, Katie's always there to go fix it and finish it and all that. So it's just you have to have a team. And I think that is exactly why before I met Josh and Yuka all those years ago, it was nobody else had the drive to do it. And that's why it's such a rare thing to find a group of people who are excited to do something, have funny ideas, and I would say are closers, and that from start to finish, they don't just have an idea. They have an idea, they know how to complete it and do complete it. And that's a cool thing about our group is that if we want to do something, we can start to finish it and finish it. So that's cool. Yeah.
So what's the writing process like with Katie Garland?
So Katie and I both are still newer writers, but what we like to do is, I guess what we have done is we'll both like start an idea, usually on our own a bit, and then bring it to each other, and we kind of like sort of like workshop it as we go, in that we're like, okay, so this is the idea, this is where we think it needs to go. And what I love to do is to sort of like punch up something that she's written, because I have a much easier time seeing something that's written and then tweaking it versus like starting to finish my own thing. So that's one way I really love working with her, is that she's really good at like getting it started, and then I can help like keep going with it. So that's kind of like, we worked a little bit together on the "Oh my God, I think I'm pregnant," but that was pretty much her baby. And then she and I both wrote the Wazos, which is the one that is in the works right now.
I can't wait to see that one.
I know. Yeah, we've looked at some of the footage, and I haven't had time to start editing. I have a sick kitty that I'm dealing with. So I know it's sad, but life happens. But so I hope to have that in the next month or two be done. So yes. Yeah, but it's really funny, and it's one of those too that like she and I we watched The Room. We've all seen The Room, and it's such a ridiculous movie. It's just so funny and stupid, and it's like it's one of those movies that like you would never ever watch until someone tells you you have to watch this wacky movie. So we've all seen it in the group. We all are fascinated by Tommy Wiseau, and then Katie and I just like one day we're like, let's write something about like if he had a family, and like what would that look like. So yeah, so the rest is to be seen, but it's definitely one of the funniest things. Like when we were shooting it, we kept like everybody kept breaking and laughing as we were shooting it. So it's good when it's hard to get through the shooting day.
Right.
Like we could not get through takes because we just kept laughing. And
you have a good omen.
Yeah, so I mean, at least maybe nobody else will find it funny, but we think it's hilarious. So yeah.
So what exactly made you make the leap from writing to directing? What made you kind of like go out of your comfort zone in that way? What made you want to do it?
Well, so I'd written a couple things and other people had directed them, and I think this is probably like a thing. Like once you write something, like you have your vision in your brain of what you want it to be. And so when someone else directs it, they can put their vision on it, and that might be different, and it can be very frustrating. So like even like Josh and I had this when he wrote Robostitute, and so I directed and edited, and he also edited it too. But he was like, I had to default, and he was like, it was so hard because like there were certain things that I wanted in there, and I wanted to do it differently. But because I was directing it, he had to sort of like relinquish that control. And it is hard. It's like if you write something, you kind of want it to be what you intended. So I just decided, okay, well, I'll just try to direct them so that it can be everything that I wanted it to be. And yeah, I mean, it's definitely it's something to learn to do. I'm still learning. I'm still figuring it out, and I'm lucky that I have people like Josh, and I have a great crew that has more experience being a director. So I'm getting to like learn as I go and getting all those tips of like, oh, maybe like this, and you also need this, and reminding me of what I'm forgetting and all that. So it's good to have the team that we have. Like we work with the same DPs, the same sound people, same grip and all that, the makeup artists. So we have a really, really good support team. Everyone who does their own job really well, and then they're really good at helping to like step in and help when they need to in other ways, even if that's helping the director.
So a recent sketch that Tiki and I did a recap on, we did Never Have I Ever, and kind of like preparation for what's happening before your eyes right now.
Yeah.
Oh man, that was a real treat to go back into the archives and find something so well structured.
Yeah, I just rewatched that too. I saw the episode or listened to the episode, and I was like, yeah, that was funny. Like that was a really good one. Yeah.
So I wonder if you can confirm something we were kind of wondering in that. Like, are there that we noticed some similarities in the Mad Men sketch? Basically, everybody's sitting down, kind of around the table and everything, and of course, like the whole game thing of it all, with like game night and the and like stuff later on, like earlier on with troubling decisions and so on and so forth. So I guess what I'm saying is, did Never Have I Ever influence your later work at all?
It didn't directly, but it might have like subconsciously, and that I knew that how to shoot something with like that sort of like sitcom style where like you only see like 180 degrees of the set. You never go past that. Because like for the Mad Men sketch, it was like all like there was going to be like a sort of like this on a stage where like all the action happens from one viewpoint. Like you never see the opposite coverage. Like you never go over the shoulder of any of the people you're looking at. So yeah, I don't think it like directly did, but it was probably in the back of my mind of like, oh, I know I can do this because we've already done it. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Let me. Of course, JGI has kind of like, we kind of noticed this sort of this kind of, the JGI style is sort of this kind of Spinal Tap approach to comedies, and like it's kind of this bold. You rip the dial off that 11, just kind of crank it up and see where it goes, and if it, it's dark, but again, it's gonna go for it at times. Has there ever been a time where you've kind of drawn a line, or in the aftermath, I think we pushed things a little too far with that?
Well, I think everything that we've released, we have thought was really funny. Even like, I mean, I think the one that has probably like pushed the farthest, Serial Mom, where we show someone hanging themselves, like it's funny to us, and I think
They're
like
called the 13 Reasons Why hotline.
Oh,
yeah, like it's all a joke, so it's not supposed to be like, obviously, like if you know someone who's killed himself, it's awful.
Right. Yeah.
Or of a complete breakfast.
Yeah. But like we pretty much always release stuff that like we find funny, and if you don't find it funny, you don't have to watch it. That's sort of always been our mentality, and like clearly, like from our views, not everybody watches everything, and that's totally fine. But I think we do censor ourselves sometimes. We've had things that some people think are really funny, and then others are like, nah, let's not do it. I think there was one that I thought was a little too mean, and we never made it because it was like, people thought it was funny, but then I really didn't, so then we just didn't do it.
All
right. Yeah, just in general though, I mean, our humor is very dark. Like it's always been dark. Like
912, man.
Yeah, I mean that was like
bursting onto the scene with 912, and of course, like a man's life ruined with no social network. I mean,
I think that's a hilarious idea too. It's like someone in a panic misdials 911, and then they get a complete idiot, and then like someone dies.
912.
It's not ideal, yes, but like,
don't tell me that.
Yeah, it's a good idea though. If someone just misdialed 911, and then But I just think in general, like, I think dark humor is funny. And so I'm going to try to make things that I find funny. Because at the end of the day, if I don't find it funny, why am I going to make it?
Totally.
And I don't think everyone has to think everything we make is funny. And I think that'd be weird if they did. Like, I don't even think everything we make is funny. I think some things are hilarious and some things are like going to be funny to someone else, but
some things are excitable Spider-Man.
I mean,
I was wondering who was going to make that reference first, Dragon.
We have a completely transparent relationship with the folks at JGI, right? They know. Look, I'm not going to bolster the excitable Spider-Man. Joshua Thomas knows.
Yeah,
you know that is pretty much in our eyes the definitive worst sketch that JGI has ever put out.
The reason we have so many nice things to say about JGI is because rarely do they drop the ball. Very rarely.
And that was when we were like just trying to make one sketch a week, so we had to make stuff,
hey, people like Spider-Man. People like pre-erection jokes.
Jokes, right? Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I always think of it like if you're making a bunch of stuff, like every musician I love, I don't love every song they've made. And
oh yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Ian Peel, one of my comedy duo idols, like I didn't love every sketch they made, but like they made so many sketches and so many that I did love that like it's like, yeah, who cares? Like who cares if they made a couple stinkers? Who cares? Same thing with SNL. It's like all of my comedy idols, it's like not every day is going to be a hit, and that's okay because you keep doing it, and the more you do it, the more, the higher probability of having hits will be. But some of our stuff really, Spider-Man sucked. Sorry.
Well, yeah, I want to make it clear. It's like a 9-to-1 shot. I mean, 9 success, 1. Well, yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
I would even wager to say it's higher than that in terms of success. It's like really Spider-Man is the only outlier as far as I can tell.
I mean, that may be some early effects stuff, but again, I'm not splitting hairs.
Yeah,
Regardless. And again,
we were babies.
that's what I'm saying. Exactly. Yeah. Chalk it up to the arrogance of youth. We're all good there.
Yeah,
so.
right?
The arrogance of youth.
Or the little Batman versus Two-Face reference. Anyway, so I always a little curiosity. We're going to bleed into some Harley Quinn joke here because I'm sure everybody really wants to get the Harley Quinn joke. Yeah. I heard you guys lost the apartment set around kind of Addison's the main apartment set from the very beginning around, let's say, episode 4 or 5. I don't know if it was. We don't see it in 4, so I'm assuming it might have been 4. Point is 4 and 5. I heard you lost the main apartment set.
I have a spoiler alert. We've lost most of those sets because most of what we shoot is either our own home, our own apartment, or a friend's. And so when somebody moves, then we lose it. So.
Oh, come on! You can't make a deal with the new person moving in. Like, hey,
let us shoot here, man. We love you.
Dragon. Not everyone can be Mark Fernandez.
Oh, no! Oh, like.
All right, I'm sorry, Piper. That's a little industry humor there.
Well,
you don't want to know.
Okay. The thing is. I think it's sort of like, because the other thing too is like the Joker episodes have come out so spaced out that like I have a new hair color now, so that'll.
Yeah, I was wondering about that. Is Addison gonna are we just gonna have like a line where like Addison, I thought I'd go a different color, do it for a role.
Yeah, here's the thing, Addison is an actress, so she might change her hair color similarly to why I did. So we'll see.
It's possible. Plus, worst case scenario, just put her in a hat. I don't know.
Yeah, we're a big fan of wigs, so But I mean, like the thing is, like I would love to shoot everything in the same set, but unfortunately, some of those have been occupied by other people now. So we won't. But we'll keep doing the show, and it'll just kind of like keep evolving. And then if someone notices that something's dramatically different, then sorry. Donate money, and then we'll go rent that apartment again.
Well, not that it's I want to make clear, not that it's any sort of problem, but it's just like I noticed that in episode 6, we saw Addison in a room, and I heard about this set thing. I thought it was kind of interesting that we haven't seen it since episode 3, and yet we've found really wonderful ways around because we've kind of set them in different places. And so basically, I shouldn't expect the room we see Addison to be kind of like a main set or anything. Like, should be maybe in this case, so.
Probably not. Yeah, it'll probably.
They're all kind of placeholder for the most part. Which is fine.
Yeah, I mean, the funny thing is like the last 2 things, Robostitute and Oh My God, I Think I'm Pregnant, those were both filmed at my house. So, like back to back, we have the same set.
What was the set for I Don't Watch Porn and the I think it was the Mad Men period? Like
that was my parents' house. Yep, so that's my parents' house. Oh. So that one we'll probably revisit again. Also we shot the When I Wish Upon a Star there.
It's a great. I was the star.
Girl was also there, and then we shot a bit. We shot the What It's Like to Buy an Orange, and then we shot Brains there as well.
Their Brains is funny, man.
That's one of my favorite sketches that I came up with. I was on the phone with my brother.
We could tell you came up with that one, given the end.
Yeah, Well, it's not much to come up with.
Did you come up with the brains thing, or did you come up with the whole concept of like, okay, people are pitching these like weird concepts for sketches?
No, Josh made me add that at the end because if it were up to me, I would have just had it be all the different vignettes of words rhyming that are so funny.
Right.
I was like, so funny. And then Josh was like, we're gonna need more than just that. And I was like, really? Are you sure? So we added, she was like, yeah, we need more. I was like, okay. So it's funny, but I was satisfied with just the rhyming of the words because that to me.
I honestly do think that's the funniest part of that sketch.
I personally do too, but I think it's really funny with the explanation at the end of like talking about making it, and it's like we've clearly already made it because it's all.
We're doing it, Josh. We're making this.
Yeah.
that sketch almost kind of had a little bit of a heightened feel to it.
Yeah, a little precursor to heightened.
Yeah.
Which we are gonna do a couple more of those too.
This is great.
Heightened is one of my favorite things you guys do. I always love myself some meta humor.
I love the gag of K. Miragard on the second one, but I watched Back to the Future and it's like all those. It's hysterical.
Well, I love the like ongoing gag between Katie and Josh because
the Garfield normal thing. Yep.
Yeah. Of constantly Josh being like, Katie, God, just it's just funny to me. Yeah. Yeah, I love the heightened stuff too, because that sort of came, we were like, we want to do something that's not just, because obviously the Joker show is the most popular thing on our channel, and when people watch it, they don't really get to know us, they get to know those characters, which is great.
Sure.
But we have so much else on our channel that we were like, we want people to know us too. So we started doing the.
If only a couple fans would do a podcast specifically.
I know.
Where are we gonna find two sad dopes like that? I mean, where on earth are we gonna find two?
I mean, they would have to be real users to go through every single one of the sketches we've ever done, man. I mean, who could have that little of a life?
We love it. We love it. It's so fun. I mean, like, it's just so cool that you guys give two poops about us. Like, I love it. Because we think it's funny, and it's like, it's so nice to just like have other commentary on it that's like
sure.
Just watching it, a little conversation about it. As I say, a little chat, just a little chit chat.
Yeah.
Speaking of JGI in the big leagues, I do have a question here. What were the you guys actually shot in a real hospital, from what I understand, for episode 6 of Harley, Quinn and Joker?
It was a set, so it was like a standing set location, but it was a cool shoot day because there are these things that exist where because shooting in a real hospital is very expensive, shooting in a real bar is very expensive, and all that, and obviously a jail. Next to impossible. So they have standing sets that exist where it'll be like a big warehouse where there are these sets already built, and you just book the day and you can shoot in all these sets. So,
nice.
Which is great because we needed a hospital, we needed a jail, we needed an apartment kind of thing, and we were able to do that that way. So that was cool. It was our first time shooting in like paying for a set, which was really fun. And I think it also made it look really good because it was like, this is not someone's apartment that we've tried to make look like a hospital. This is the real set, like hospital equipment, all that. So it looked legit. And hopefully we'll get to do more of that. That's the other reason, that lawyer sketch I sort of alluded to earlier, we need to shoot in a courtroom. So we need a set that's a courtroom, but we're like, where are we going to find a courtroom to shoot with it? So
talk to Vince Gilligan.
Where? Yeah, I know. I'll just call it my buddy Vince.
Right.
Well, Jeff.
Wilson Bethel. He was in the courtroom. Yo, Mr. Wolf, can we just borrow
God.
that, please? Thanks.
You're not using it. I mean, come on.
Yeah, you're off. You're not shooting there right now. Yeah. So that, I mean, it's cool to like, it makes it feel, it's a cool progression because we've shot in our apartments for so many years. So to shoot a real studio that's like, oh, this is real cool. It feels good. It's just like, it was cool that we were able to do it because there's a big cost also, and we were able to afford it. And yeah, I'm so proud of how we've evolved over the years. And one of the really cool things about the Joker episodes is every single episode we have done something that we've never done before. So on episode 4, we had all these extras, and we'd never had that many extras. So it was like, I think we had something like almost 20 extras part of the set as like the party scene. And that was like, it's like, okay, cool. There's something we've never done before, because we've always just had actors who have parts. So, and then shooting at a soundstage where we had sets already made. It was like, cool, we've never done that. So it's been cool because it's sort of, that show has allowed us to push ourselves as well in like whatever Josh writes, we can figure out how to do then, like, and then even on episode 2, when we shot that, we lost our location the morning of the shoot. So we had to, luckily our makeup artist, Susan, was like, you guys can come over and shoot it at my apartment complex. And it was like, oh my gosh, you saved our lives. Because when you have people booked for a shoot and you have to cancel the day of, well, you still have to pay those people because they didn't take other jobs to take your job. So if you don't end up shooting, you lose all that money. So it worked out that Susan saved the day. She often does save the day. She's really great. And she's not just a makeup artist. She's about a million things. And yeah, she's really great. We love her. So, but yeah, it's like every time you shoot, there's always a new challenge. And so that show has been really good at like another, boot camp teaching tool of like, oh, try this and get through this hoop. So, yeah.
So speaking of the show, of course, I got to mention this. I've said it for like the billionth time, but I might as well do it here. Yeah. Well, I have the girl in the studio.
Yeah.
As you're probably aware, if not, I'm sure Josh Van has probably told this to somebody. Like, for me, the hook of the series is at the end of episode 1, and you give. I'm wondering what inspired that iconic Addison moment at the end, where you have that. Harley presents the bloody sunglasses. You give that almost that Mona Lisa smile of JGI right there. It's that moment like you have to read into the face, like what is. Like, it's like all the possibilities. Like, oh my god, I have to see what happens next. Basically, it separates it from like a one-off short, which would have been a really great one-off short too. You got to know what happens next with this character, man. Like, how do you like? Walk me through that moment, man, please.
Well, basically, I have to give credit to Josh because he directed me for that. And so the whole thing, I think, was that like with the character of Addison, she seems to be innocent, but then also she's sort of kind of, I think throughout all of it, it's like she kind of has an idea of what's going on and she's just choosing to not know. She's choosing ignorance, and so that is sort of like, that was just that bit of like, okay, all right. So it looks like he's dead. I'm not going to ask how or why or who did it. I'm just going to accept that like, he's no longer hurting me. Moving on. And it's all because Josh wrote this great script. Josh is the mastermind behind it. So I have to give all the credit to him for all of it. Yeah. Cause I'm just the actor and he is the puppet master.
So as an actor, where do you want to see the character go that would like stretch you?
Well, I mean, personally, I would love it if she sort of almost started to become a little bad or like dipped her foot in, because I think one of the things that through the whole show, it's like she is constantly right around, if Joker and Harley are the bad characters of like, they're the ones doing bad things. She's constantly in their orbit. Like she's constantly always or almost always right in it, but then she always isn't in it. Like, so I think it'd be kind of fun if she just like was at one point given a choice of like, all right, are you going to come to the dark side kind of thing? Cause I think it's like, like Howie is in it. And obviously, I think his character, I think he's a good guy, but he's like doing all these bad things because he's roped in through Joker. So he has different reasons that he's in it, and he's come to the dark side a bit. But I think it'd be kind of an interesting thing to see if like what Addison would do. Like, would she, if she knew and she was confirmed with like Joker and Harley killed Frank, like what are you going to do with that information? You know,
Subconsciously, she's kind of getting there with like party Addison. The cobweb's kind of clear there.
Yeah, I mean, I think that like that's what I think for me is the cool part of her. Like the most fun of her is that it's like, ooh, is she gonna turn? Is she gonna like be part of the gang too? Because she is like indebted to them in a way in that they took care of this awful problem of hers. They fixed it. And now her life is better because they took out her abusive boyfriend. But then also she still has this like moral struggle, I think, because, in episode 6, I guess she gets all these texts from Frank's mom, and it's like, she kind of knows what's up, but like she's not dealing with it. She's just like kind of ignoring all of it right now because it's like it's benefiting her. So it's like, okay, well, what happens when she has to deal with it,
So, like, forgive me if I'm frothing over all this Addison, kind of stuff right now, because this is just seriously, that's the hook of the show right there. It's just, it's Joker and Harley Quinn as these static characters who are influencing the environment being kind of represented by our totems that are Addison and Howie, just kind of these characters who are, like their average, very realistic situations, but again, have that heightened element that is Harley Quinn and Joker, turning them, and the question where they're going to go, like, what's going to win out, the world that Joker and Harley are in, or are they going to win out then?
Yeah, and
fascinating.
I know because I've read some of his scripts, but like I don't know what his idea for Addison is for like the end game kind of thing. But yeah, the thing is like the rest of us are all kind of in the waiting game too. We're waiting to see what he writes. So yeah. I know some of what he's written, but
I only have speculation and theory, so you're more in the know than I am, even not knowing anything.
Yeah. Well, it's like Game of Thrones. Like nobody gets the full script until the day of the shoot. Just kidding. Not quite that.
Like the Russo brothers, you go into a band, the read or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Are you ready for the nichest Harley Quinn and Joker question you've ever heard in your life?
Let's hear it.
Okay. Is the teal shirt you wear in episode 3, like kind of the main shirt she wears before she changes into the back?
It's like a question that people ask at Comic-Con, like, in episode 2 or 3.
Okay, dog.
What was I wearing?
I'm just kidding, Dragon. I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
Okay, so the teal shirt with the yellow bird on it in episode 3, a sly reference to Piper Hinson, the actress, via Piper the bird.
No, it's just a sweater I wore.
Yeah, I've officially read too much into it. I'm sorry. Very niche.
The one thing that you can read into is all the colors that Addison, the character, wears are always bright and very like cheery. So the one thing that changes is in one episode she's wearing red shorts and a white shirt, which is sort of like an alluding to Harley Quinn colors.
Nice.
Where it's like that's sort of the closest thing of like any sort of a shift you can kind of see is that like what Addison wears throughout it is pretty much always very bright, which is her character is like the bright and cheery one. But one choice has been like changing what she wears according to like how like sort of like toe in she is with Joker and Harley a bit. Because when she's wearing the red shorts, that's when they're talking about the party and the girl dying and stuff and what Harley Quinn did. So yeah, I mean, that's a very subtle thing and it doesn't really mean that much. It's just sort of one of the little choices that's been made of.
Oh, but thanks for making my silly question much better with that answer. There
you go.
Let's see. Tiki, hit her with the musical question, would you?
Okay, let's see. So, yeah, how did Crazy end up in episode 4, and who pitched you singing "Oh Danny Boy"?
Well, so Josh said for me to do the "Oh Danny Boy" thing, and I'm down anytime I get to put anything music of mine in something of ours. I'm like, yeah. So I'm gonna do a cover. I'm gonna do a cover song for another future episode. So you have to stay tuned for that. And then the Crazy song. It just. I mean, the whole thing is like we need royalty-free songs, and that's mine. So I own all of the copyright for it. So it was like, hey, we can put this in for free. Let's do it.
Yeah, you were kind of the out we had when we did our Christmas pitch.
What's that?
I'm sorry. I said like you were kind of the out that we had when we were pitching a Christmas episode, like a Christmas in July episode of Harley Quinn and Joker, where we had basically all the songs, all the Christmas songs would be Piper Hinson singing them.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and I have a couple other.
Piper Hinson sings Christmas classics.
Well, I did write a Christmas song.
Oh, did you?
I did. It's called "Put Your Sweater On." It's so warm and fuzzy, and
Oh my God.
Yep, you'll just want some hot chocolate the second you hear it, and a hug probably.
Piper, we might have to like contract you to like do a recording of it for Christmas in July.
Oh, I will. Actually, I do want to re-record it because I did a recording, but I think I can do better. So, yeah, but I have a couple other songs.
We'll be in touch. We'll be in touch with that for sure.
Okay, good. Yeah. That's when you have to record a Christmas song is in July so that it can be ready for November. You know?
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Well, I'm gonna for sure do a cover for one of our upcoming episodes, and then I'm writing a couple right now that will I think be very applicable to Harley Quinn and Joker's relationship. So maybe you'll hear one of those. We'll see.
You put out some opera covers, man, because I just love the fact that you can sing opera, and I love that.
Yeah. Well, I started before I started writing music. Before I started writing pop music, I trained as an opera singer and a jazz singer because there's kind of like the lessons that you get as a singer. You kind of have to start that way, and it's great. Like it teaches you how to have a lot of power behind your voice. So that's
opera is super technical in that regard. Sure.
Yeah. And I never got to the like, huge, like big operatic, like I would never be at the Met Opera I was never
not quite the Pavarotti level yet.
But I got to a level of like, okay, my voice is strong from learning this,
Totally.
Yeah.
If you ever do a cover, see if you can try doing Nissan Dorma, like the Pavarotti, like the famous one.
Oh, yeah.
That's one of the all-time greats. Anyway,
yeah.
Right, let's see. So let me ask you this. So, did you have any doubts as we're getting to the heady questions here? We're getting close to were there any doubts about your path in the JGI journey? Like any doubts? Like, oh man, I wonder if have I made a mistake? Like any oh god, like should I pull the ripcord on this? Like any moments of severe doubt?
I would say no moments of severe doubt. More just like. I guess I mean, yeah, I wouldn't say doubt ever. It was like we've had issues of like personnel changing, and that has always been, it sort of feels like a bit of a breakup in some ways of like, if someone leaves, you're like, why don't you want to be with us anymore? It wasn't something we said. But it's just like, everybody has their own path, and Josh and I know how lucky we are to have found each other and to have created Just Giggle It and have an audience of people that actually want to watch things that we make. So I think for both of us, we know that like we're just so lucky that we've stuck it out together as long as we have, and been able to keep going, even though, like when people have left, it was like when Jason left the group, it was like, well, we lost someone who makes things from start to finish. Like he was a really great writer, still is a great writer, and great editor and all that. And so it sort of has been like that. Okay, well, how do we keep going? And we've had just moments through the years of let's figure this out. But it's never been, oh, this was a mistake. It's always been something we're both really proud of and just really happy. I mean, like we met our best friends through it, and we've like gotten so much success and so many great memories and really just done really good work together through the years. At my wedding, it was like I had Josh and Katie by my side. So
nice,
it was like,
nice.
Two of my very best friends in the world are, and I love Alex too. It's like just such a great thing that's happened and it's because we keep at it. Like there have definitely been times when it's been really hard, and Josh and I are like so burnt out and wonder like how we're going to keep going, but it's always been we're going to keep going. So yeah.
Right. Well, let me ask you this. So have you ever auditioned for any like notable series or films that you didn't get that you really wanted?
Yes. I've auditioned. I mean, I'm still in the like trying to get good auditions, but I've auditioned. I would say maybe it's not like the show necessarily, but the part where I've put auditions on tape for things that I was like, oh, I think I have the best idea for how this character is, and I've auditioned for a lot of things, but I put an audition on tape for the show Dollface. And I'm so proud of my character, my choices, but I did not get it. It went to a famous actress. But it was like, you know, I like the process, and like I'm still proud of that audition tape that I did, even though I didn't get the part in the end. And the other thing too is like sometimes when you see the final show and you see who they cast, it's like, oh, they were never going to cast me. That is completely different than what I did. But yeah, I mean, I'm just kind of like, at this point, I'm happy to get any audition. I'm happy to get any part because I'm still in that, like, I don't have the credits that a lot of people do, and I still have to compete with, like, I just have to be better than everybody else who has a bigger resume because no one's going to pay attention. You know, I've got a lot of Just Giggle It resume, but I don't have a CBS and NBC resume. So that's the struggle for me is like, oh, I wish I could get the audition. I wish I could get in the room for this show. But I think the whole, you know, like I'm farther now than I was 5 years ago, than I was 10 years ago. And I'll just keep doing it, and I'll just keep doing it until they let me in. You know? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Hear that, industry? Let her in, darn it. She's playing her dues. Let her in.
I'm right outside and I'm cold, okay?
Like Doctor Strange, man. Just let her in. She's waiting outside.
Yeah.
So Piper, now we're kind of gonna, you know, we've gone through all the Just Giggle It stuff, all the Harley Quinn Joker stuff, production stuff. So we'll kind of get a little conversational towards the end here. Now, as you may or may not know, Dragon and I are hard at work on an eventual pitch for a Just Giggle It biopic.
Ooh.
That I honestly kind of have this running joke where you guys view that as more of a threat than a promise. One of these days, we're gonna pitch your life as a movie.
When we finish recapping those like remainder sketches, and once we catch up to whatever you guys are putting out now after the YSOs, I imagine it's you know, we'll be formulating, man. We will.
Okay.
So, Piper, with that in mind, do you have any favorite biopics of yours?
A favorite biopic.
We're all for good biopics, Dragon.
No.
We are biopic fans, yes.
I don't know. I mean, like as far as like a big movie that's been a biopic kind of thing, where I don't know. I don't think I have that many in my brain. I'm thinking of Jackie right now, but I don't know that. I'm not thinking of that many because I didn't actually love Jackie. With Natalie Portman a couple years back. Yeah, I don't know. I would hope that like whoever plays me is like a Kristen Wiig kind of, because I want someone who's like the best and the most amazing to be, you know? Yeah, I don't know. I haven't really given that thought, but you guys can pitch it and I'll think about it.
Oh, don't you worry now.
We've got ideas. We do. Let me ask you this.
Would we get to play ourselves in our own biopic? That's no? Oh, shoot.
No,
I mean, we can't go the full Eastwood on that one. I'm afraid we can't do the whole, like, we can't do the train movie on that one. I'm sorry. We can't. Too easy. Too easy, because you think we already know you're talented. We need to sell people on the idea that you're talented.
Okay, fine. Margot Robbie can play me. That's fine. Fine, I'll allow it.
Well, we'll see if she makes the audition. All right. So, So given here's a trendy question. Okay, given how you've played Persephone, the vampire stripper,
Yes, of course.
thoughts on do you have any thoughts on the Morbius trailer? You see that?
Ooh, no, I haven't. Oh no, I needed to do
I
something.
like how much of a leap that question was.
Wait, as in like Morpheus, i.e. the Matrix, or
No,
not that Morbius. The Spider-Man vampire Morbius. Okay.
Oh, I haven't, but dude, I love vampire stuff, so I got to get on that.
Yeah, one of these days we got to try to get you on the Haunted Holiday Hijinks podcast that we do. But we have been lacking vampire-related content. That's the thing.
Well, we have. What's some of your favorite vampire movies, Piper? Because we've really not done any big vampire movies on there.
Except for like Buzz Lightyear Stark may have Nose 482, but I'm sorry, go on.
So I don't discriminate a whole lot when it comes to vampire movies. So I have favorites as far as like I love 30 Days of Night, which is like one of like my favorite scary vampire movies. And then I love the World movies with Kate Beckinsale. Those are all amazing. And then I'm also like a fan of Twilight stuff, you know? Like give me like a watered down sparkly vampire. Cool, you know?
Okay, I've got to admit, there's certain Twilight movies, not all of them, but there's certain ones that get a chuckle out of me.
Well, and also like I think I like them because I read the books. So I was in because I read the books. That's such a grab for you, you know?
New Moon is a pretty freaking crazy film. I will give it that much.
Let me boilerplate this down. What do you like most about vampires?
I think I like the fact that that there's like this mystery and sort of like there's always like a danger, but then you're always like curious about them, and so you're like you're walking into danger, but I just like that, like of like something's bad, but you can't help yourself, kind of, because I think that's sort of like that's a very human thing of like people walk into things knowing like it's gonna end bad, but like they just are like so sparkly, cool, you know, or like whatever the lure is, but and I just. Yeah, I find it. I think the idea of like living forever and seeing like generations go and come and go, it's sort of like a fascinating life of like would it be so boring? You know, like I mean, part of the reason life is interesting is because there's a time limit of like, you know, there's an end to it. So every day has value, but like if you're a vampire and it's just you're alive forever, how do you keep things interesting? You know, how does so I don't know. Yeah, and also they're always played by really hot people, so that's fun.
But do you watch Preacher?
I have not watched that show. Or is it a show or a movie?
It's a show, TV show. It's an adaptation of a book, so it's so basically it's all done now. It's like 4 seasons.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't watched that, but is that it's vampire-ish?
That's what I'm saying, Piper. Like literally, what you just said, that big question about the whole living forever angle. That's there's a character in that show, funny character too. Cassie the vampire. He's fascinating. He's scratching the itch for you right there, man. That's one to check out.
Yeah.
So, speaking of shows, by the way, because again, I always feel indebted because the other thing I really want to thank you for, Mad Men was eventuality, because again, I saw some things I was kind of getting there, and we were doing the grab day. I almost eventuality. One, I never would have checked that had you not really plugged it.
Good.
The Americans.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, and I just started watching that in the past whatever year or two, and it's so good. It's just like it blows your mind of these two people who are living double lives, and they're like, it's like they're like the smartest people in the world, and they're living in this like little podunk, you know, this podunk life of like middle class, like just going along, and then they're wearing disguises, they're speaking different languages, I mean, it's crazy how much information they'd have to like actually like remember, and like what accent did I have when I wore that wig and I spoke to that person. It's like, I mean, that's a lot to remember, and it's just I love that show. Yeah.
My favorite element of it, and the reason I'm super grateful, in addition to it just being a good show, was Matthew Rhys. I adore Matthew Rhys in that show. Yeah. And of course, Matthew Rhys, I kind of was going into the Americans knowing there was something at the end of the tunnel, and that Matthew Reese was cast in A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. Basically, by the time I think by the time I finished The Americans, I kind of found out like, oh god, they cast him in the movies. That's even better. And of course, he dazzled me in that movie. So that's why I'm super grateful, man. You introduced me because my favorite element, my favorite plot line on the entire series was the whole Clark and Martha relationship, right?
Oh yeah, I know. That's like so crazy. It's like he has a marriage to another person, and it's so wild to think that like his actual wife pretends to be his sister and watches him get married to this other chick and like is aware that he's going off with her and all that. It's like, oh my gosh.
Great.
That's a relationship.
Right. Okay, Barry.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen it?
I have seen, I think, maybe 2 episodes. And the reason I haven't watched more, I think, is partially because I like when things are a little too close to home, it's like, oh, I can't watch that. Like, I used to work in catering, and so I cannot watch Party Down because I'm like, no, it's too close to home. It's too much. It's like, no, I can't do it.
I feel like if they did like a Parks and Rec style sitcom set in a thrift store, I would probably feel the same way.
Oh yeah. You work at a thrift store, I guess.
Yes, I take donations.
Okay, so it'd be too close to home. It's like, part of what we watch things to escape. So yeah.
Right.
A Russian spy, that is not my life. So that is it for me.
Well, to be fair, Piper, unless I hate to out you on this, but you're not an assassin, are you?
No, I'm not.
All right, so there you go. There's some sort of, Barry thing. But I get what you're saying, though. I get what you're saying.
What folks don't realize is Tiki actually asked that in Russian. She said yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm kidding.
Okay. Dragon, I think we should probably be wrapping this up.
Okay, I got one last real quick one. The one I'm dying to know, Bates Motel. Have you ever checked out Bates Motel?
Have I ever checked out what?
Bates Motel.
Bates Motel. No, I haven't, but I do love Psycho, so.
Piper, consider that me trying to repay my debt right there. We are the hugest Bates Motel fans you're gonna find.
It's one of the finest pieces of Psycho media this side of the original film, in my opinion.
Yeah, so the whole thing, it is like it's way before obviously the film takes place because he's
here's the thing. It's like it's basically like a retelling of Psycho.
Okay.
So it's a prequel to the events of the film, but it's set in modern day.
Okay. Interesting.
So it's like it follows the same basic, like it leads to where you think you're leading in a Psycho prequel, but it's all in the context of like, all right, a modern day environment.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, things get.
But of course, Vera Farmiga, Dragon, and I just completely fell head over heels in love with her.
We practically worship the one. The name we always mention in the grab bag is it's either one of 2 names. It's going to be either Howard Hamlin for or Patrick Fabian for Better Call Saul. But the name we always mention without fail is probably Vera Farmiga for Bates Motel, Joyce's Bros.
Yeah, she's great. I mean, she's great in anything she does too.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, let's get to the closer questions as it were.
Okay.
You asked one. You asked the first one. I'll ask the second one. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So Piper, what can you tell us about this telepath short?
Oh well, so that's something I shot a couple years ago, and ironically, I met I got Brianna on that as well. But that's where I met Susan. Susan Jones, our makeup artist. We met on that shoot. And I did that because a friend of mine was booked for it, and then she wasn't able to do it. And she called me and she was like, hey, can you do this part? And I was like, sure. So I got to do it. And I had so much fun on it because I love supernatural things and the idea of like being so the premise of the movie is the brother and sister who are telekinetic, like, they're very powerful, like they can do things with their mind. And they end up finding someone who's doing very bad things and setting him straight, so to speak. But it was really fun because like I love supernatural things. I love like people with powers and all that. So it was cool to get to play someone like that. So I don't know when it'll be available for people to watch, but I know the guy who wrote and directed it, this guy Roy Gamble, he's put it out for film festival. So I think it might be taking that circuit right now. But yeah. Yeah, because the reason Brianna did it is so I filled in for my friend, and then another actor also canceled the day before or day of, and so Brianna was available, so she ended up doing a part, and I was like, we're just getting the whole gang on this thing. So yeah, that was cool though. Yeah, I like that.
All right, so let me ask you this: given that you're kind of essentially, if I'm understanding, you're kind of captaining the ship this year, while Joshua Thomas is kind of walking the Pulp Fiction, right? He's kind of exploring the Earth as it is right now. He's kind of like he's kind of living life to the fullest at the moment. Not that he's an absentee or anything. He's just he's doing stuff. What can we expect from 2020 JGI? Like, what kind of cool stuff can you tease, man? Like, what can you say? Oh boy, like buckle up, man.
So I think what we'll probably be doing is more episodes of Heightened. And hopefully we'll be getting maybe not as many things out, but some bigger things out. Like I think our goal is to be doing really like cool high production stuff.
Nice.
So I think, yeah, that might be. We'll still be putting out videos here and there. But yeah, and I don't think Josh is going to be totally MIA. He's just he's been doing a ton of auditioning too, and he booked something last year. He was on All Rise, a big show. He had a really cool part on that.
I know, I saw it. It was really good.
Yeah, it was cool. I was like, oh my God, he's on TV.
Yeah, he had 2 scenes too. He's in the courtroom.
And he just was an actor. He didn't have to do everything else. It's so cool. And then Alex has done a bunch of stuff recently. So I think in between everything that we're all doing, we're still going to be putting out stuff. But yeah, I would just say probably more Heightened episodes, more sketches, and then frankly, we don't even know, but we'll find out as we go. But I think 2020 will be a cool year. Yeah.
All right.
Nice.
Yeah. Dragon.
All right.
Big enough.
So, in closing, folks, I want to thank Piper Hinson, not just for taking the time to sit down with us and listen to our blathering, but for being kind of the MVP of funny that she is. A true talent. Not just on camera, but you better believe behind it. Sometimes when you have something as massively positive and well made as JGI, it's a ship that needs at least 2 captains and a crew that gets it, man, that just gets it. And it's so rare in life. So rare in life do we see legends in the making. JGI has allotted us the rare opportunity a number of times with all these players that we've had the pleasure of sitting down with and just kind of seeing unfold before our eyes with rising stars. And I'm not just talking Ponzi because he was the star. But we've in the past we've called her the Amazon goddess of funny for a reason, not just for the DC joke within their being with the Holy Trinity and that whole thing, but because she brings truth and authenticity to every sketch and video that we've been lucky enough to see, and hopefully we'll continue to going forward on Just Giggle It.
All right.
Thank you very much. That was so sweet. You guys are the best.
Piper, could you could I ask a big favor of you to outro this thing?
Sure.
We heard a little bit of Oh Danny Boy. Could we get a little bit more of Oh Danny Boy to end this thing out on?
Sure, if I can remember some lyrics. Okay. Oh Danny Boy, the pipes are calling from Glen to Glen.